Hello and welcome to Hold All Tickets. It is the 9th of January and we are bringing you a special Magic Millions edition. I'm your host, Alex Donnelly, and somehow he's been here for 4 months. Xavier Pegum has the junket up to the Gold Coast. Pegs, how are we, mate?
I'm absolutely thrilled to be up here in God's country, as you can tell. Brought the weather with us from Melbourne.
Yeah, it was raining sideways 2 minutes ago.
And I just want to thank, the bosses at B for sending me up here. A couple of brown paper bags is how you get up.
So what was in these said bags before,
Sandwiches.
Okay. James Lamb, unfortunately, he doesn't get the junket. He's been here for 15 years. He's a part of the furniture and he's back in the office at Melbourne. He'll be bringing us the Self-Trumpeters and his set for Flemington this weekend. But of course, Xavier and I, we're here on the Gold Coast, so we'll be focusing on the Magic Millions. We've just had the track gallop at the Gold Coast Turf Club. Jockeys have ticked off the ground, so we're good to go for this Saturday, which is the main thing for the Magic Millions and the Gold Coast Turf Club. But before we get into it, Pegs, got to thank our sponsors, Boom Bet, great fixed odds and more boom moments. Sign up today and get in on the boom. There you go. Of course, follow us on the social medias. We are at Punters across Facebook, Instagram, X, wherever you get good stuff, as well as YouTube and Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Give us a 5-star rating, leave a review, all that good stuff, please and thank you. Now, we usually go into the Self-Trumpeters in this point of view after we do the opening plugs, but we'll get Lamby to do that when he does his tips at Flemington. Before we get into this, we have a very special interview with absolute gun mounting yard expert and all-around great person, Lizzie Jelfs. She's a part owner or syndicator of the favourite of the 2-year-old classic this weekend, Invincible Woman. But before we get to her, Thoroughbred Sales is the #1 online horse platform for owners looking to buy a racehorse with over 130 trainers and syndicators to choose from. Horses will also be eligible to run in the new $4 million race series, with 400 horses having a bonus.
How good.
4 million buckaroonies, that's great. But for now, you weren't invited to it. Let's get to Lizzie Jelfs. Have a bit of a chat about Invincible Woman and everything else going on in her life. All right, now on Hold All Tickets, we are lucky enough to be joined by, hold on, let me go here, racing host, racing expert, mounting yard aficionado, Leviathan owner. The one knock I've got on her is that she's friends with me. It's probably the only mistake she's ever made.
You also you've missed that I rode a winner as well.
I was going to get to that. I was going to get to that in the second half of the interview, but we are joined by Lizzie Jelfs from Race with Lizzie, Channel 7, racing.com. Oh, and the owner and syndicator of the favourite in the Magic Millions Classic this Saturday here at the Gold Coast.
Oh, wow.
Jelfs, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks you, Alex. I have just got goosebumps after you saying that about having the favourite. But yeah, it's really exciting to be here. And I don't know, it's hard to put into words. It's a bit of a full circle moment for me because I've been coming to this meeting for a very long time. The first time I ever came, I bought horses for Tony McAvoy.
Yeah.
And I have tried to win this 2-year-old race a number of occasions and I haven't been able to do so. And to be back here now as an owner with the favourite is, it's quite daunting.
So let's talk about the filly and we'll get to all the other stuff after this. But Invincible Woman, 1 start for 1 win at Caulfield. D-Lane rode her a treat, has the ride again this Saturday. Barrier 9, before we get into doing the form and that, how are just we feeling going into Saturday with her?
I couldn't be happier. She's been faultless all the way through. I've worked with some very good 2-year-olds, won a Golden Slipper, won Blue Diamonds and numerous 2-year-old races. And she's as a natural 2-year-old as I've seen and I've worked with in the past. The only, I suppose, knock against her is the history, isn't it? There's no Melbourne 2-year-old that's come straight here and won the race off of 1 run. She's, it's the first time she's going to be going this way under race pressure. It's a bit of a year where maybe something can change, but the history aside, I couldn't be happy with how she's heading into it. And Lucy and Lloyd have just basically never said she's taken a step backwards.
So was there, with that history, because history is sort of very important in these 2-year-old races when you look at lead-up races and when they go on to win for slippers, for example, and even this race, the last, I think it's 5 or 6 years, you're third up into this race, off a win in Queensland, funnily enough. Was there ever a talk about having her run here, but did you consider that given you gave her the trial at the Gold Coast?
To be really honest with you, I actually left it completely to Lloyd and Lucy, and Lloyd's plan was, well, at the start, Lloyd and Lucy just kept saying to me, we keep raising the bar.
Yep.
And she keeps jumping over it. So it was never a plan like, this is our Magic Millions horse and she's coming back. It was just that she was in at the right time. She started trialling really nicely, and then we picked out a race to run her at Caulfield. She won brilliantly, and Lloyd always had a bit of a plan if she was going to do that he would send her straight up here and she would have a trial. And it hasn't been done before. And I had a chat with Lloyd about it and said, oh, this hasn't been done before. And he said, look, you cannot worry about history. He said, I have got to do, and Lucy has got to do what is best for this filly. And he thought the best way to tackle the Magic Millions this year especially was to make sure she was going into it as sound and as happy as she could possibly be.
Well, I mean, no horse has tripped over, run 3 laps of the course and then won the Cox Plate by 9 lengths before. So, these things are meant to be broken.
They are meant to be broken, and it is different nowadays, I believe, because Caulfield is now the Magic Millions leader.
Yep.
And I think that's a better lead up for.
They've moved it from
these
that
horses.
clockwise race they had.
That's right. So she's got a course where she's gets the opportunity to ride. She's ridden on a tight course. She came up here and had the trial. If she hadn't had the trial, I might be a little bit more concerned. But it was always that she's the one that's actually gone to the Gold Coast and had a trial. So it's fallen into place quite nicely for us. And I don't know, fingers crossed. We just don't know how good she is, do we?
No. And just quickly on the race, main danger if there is one?
I think there's a couple of horses I really like. I reckon Space Rider, if he gets a run, is a very natural colt, and he's drawn really well. And I think that he'll be right in the finish. I do like Gallinero as well. I think he's a very talented colt too. And you can't take away the win of La Belle Boom. The only negative, I suppose, with the other horse, Icarian Dream, is that she is
Starting on the highway.
Yeah, starting on the highway. But that the BJ McLaughlin's a great lead-up race. But this year's so open.
Yeah.
Like I'm reeling off all these horses, but they've also got to defy history as well. So that's the nature of the race. So would I swap her for anything else? No.
Couldn't have that a better way. Now, let's go back 12 months ago, because I remember I was here with you. We're upstairs at the hotel you're staying at. We're having a drink with your husband, Ryan.
Yeah,
talking
with my
about,
husband. I wasn't just...
He was there, yes. Ryan was there for all those playing at home. But talking about this filly and not how you were going to sell it, but how you were going to sort of write the little blurb that everyone does.
Yeah.
And you're just like, Alex, it's a Vinny filly. It sells itself.
Yeah.
And, well, 12 months later with the Lady Syndicate, you're all back here, and she wasn't a super expensive filly either.
Well, she wasn't expensive for a Vinny, but she was one of the most expensive horses that I've ever bought. And she was also with 2 trainers who were unproven as well. Lucy had just recently joined up with Lloyd. Lloyd, he's trained Group 1 winners, but, he hasn't had a Magic Millions winner. So it was not as if I had something to really sell off of them. Yep. And for quite a long time, I held a big portion of her. But sometimes you just got to bite the bullet. And Lloyd in particular gives me a lot of confidence and edges me along, like a lot of my trainers that I work with. And he's been an absolute dream, and Lucy's been fantastic as well. So whole experience has been, there's been some stressful times when you have to, make sure you can pay for everything. But, sometimes you just got to take a risk. And thanks for writing that blurb, by the way. It got it sold.
Didn't get a share, but I've got the 200 to 1 ticket on Saturday, so I'm feeling all right. So you have had some success with this race with Lizzie concept. Of course, Chris Dilly winning the Percy Sykes, but a lot of the horses that you've got up and running, they've won races, and if they've had time to, they haven't reached the level you want them to, you're not afraid to move them on either. Is that just something that comes into this model? Yeah,
I think it's important to manage the horses and manage your clients as well. And it's imperative that you are able to move them on at the right time, sell at the right time, and also move to different trainers as well to reduce costs if they're not going to be Sydney horses. Yep. And that's been the biggest part of my business, is making sure I manage these horses the best way for the horse and for my clients as well. And also, getting people together, like-minded people together. Some people just want to race horses, and other people want to race for profit. So it's a very different clientele. So yeah, it's a really enjoyable job, but it's something that you never rest on your laurels. You're always looking for the next one, and you're always trying to be transparent and authentic to your clients as well.
And you've picked up a couple this week already?
Yes, I have. I bought a collector's item, which was a Fastnet Rock filly from Coolmore. She's an absolute beauty. She won't be, we'll aim her obviously to come back eventually, but we won't let her furnish and fill out into her frame. And the aim with her is to develop her race pedigree or
Yep.
her race page, and hopefully win a few races with her and get her value up, and it'll be worth a fair amount in the future. And then I bought 2 really racy fillies today, a Tagaloa from Yulong, who's out of a Vinny mare. He's very sharp, and a really lovely to sort filly, who I've been trying to get my hands on to sort for a little while. And they're both ladies' horses, and they'll both be aimed at this race series next year. And the process is already in place. They're heading down to the breakers as we speak, and have a couple of weeks off, and then they get into their education.
So it's just racewithlizzie.com.au?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, racewithlizzie.com.au. They're both girls' horses.
So if you want to get your wife a birthday present, just put it in her name.
But I think there's many ladies out there who don't even worry about that. They just buy a share because that's what it's all about.
I'm playing for everyone here. But also the last 12 months for you have been super fun and exciting as well, because first of all, you did claim on international TV that you were an Australian. I did enjoy that. You won the Magnolia
I
Cup.
if I did that. I as soon as it came out my mouth, I was like, Lizzie, what are you doing? I think I even said good day as well.
Yeah, you did. You said you'd bring it back home to Australia, but you won the Magnolia Cup. So take us through that.
That's right. Yeah. So I used to ride work a long time ago, and after a 10-year hiatus, I decided to get back into the saddle for a charity race, and we race and raise money for charity, and it's all women from all different walks of life, and it's a very special experience to be involved in, because you meet so many different individuals that you probably wouldn't cross paths with, and you build really good friendships. But not only that, you challenge yourself. That was probably the biggest challenge for me. I thought to myself, how am I going to get back on a horse after 10 years? It's not easy, and how am I going to even have the time to do that? Anyway, the journey was the most rewarding thing I've actually done for a very long time, and I still ride work to this day. I was able to win, but I mean, the winning factor was probably, it was wonderful, but the biggest thing was, getting back in the saddle and doing something that I never thought I'd do again, and that I absolutely love. Plus now I ride at work, I don't have to do school lunches, which is great.
So the offer still stands. If you're in Wagga the first Friday of May, you do need to ride track work. It is the hour.
I will do, for sure.
There was a text message.
I want to see you come down and ride some as well.
I can only count. I'm a couch jockey, as the internet knows. But so the next 12 months with just yourself, because obviously Channel 7 have taken racing and broadcasting to new heights in the last few weeks. Obviously the night meeting that was transferred to the Sunshine Coast, massive ratings, massive viewership. Now, how do you think that translates sort of going forward for the industry?
I think it's the first time that we've had a night meeting on Channel 7, and I'd love to think that's not the last. I'd love to think that 7, especially how focused they are on the sport of racing, which is we're so fortunate for, and we're also so fortunate also to have the best broadcaster in Australia, Bruce McAvaney, as part of the coverage and the captain of the ship, so to speak. So 7 is really, keen and wants to make sure that racing is a big focus, and I think they're doing a terrific job, the team there. And I think that, like, we were on air for 9 hours.
Looked like a long day.
It was a long day, but I felt like the energy was at its highest the last part of the day, because it was such great racing. And we know what's happened to the Gold Coast track. It's been well documented, but I mean, once that part of it is right, you can tell that it's the right place to have night racing, and the venue lit up. And everything wasn't perfect, but we made something out of something that was pretty disastrous at the start of the day.
Do we think there's plans for an Everest night meeting to happen after those ratings came out on Monday?
I mean, I think it would be a dream. I do a lot of night racing for people who don't know. I do Moonee Valley every Friday night, and there's nothing like it. And even when the venue changes, I think it's still, wherever they do night racing, especially in that metropolitan area, and they've got the climate here in Piazan for it. That's the big one. The holiday makers are here. So this, to me, is something that is almost like an unhidden gem. They're going to launch it. They did a few weeks ago, 9,500. I think they got a few thousand there on Friday night as well. And then the viewing figures were absolutely bananas. So look, watch this space.
And just finally, because this is a punting show and we are here for the punters, give us a horse to follow into the autumn from the ones that you've seen over in the spring. Just the first horse that comes into your mind.
The 3-year-old on Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Going early.
Yeah, I'm going early. I think the Sheree Lee Curtis trained Vahinia is a potential Group 1 horse.
Okay, there we are. No better way to finish that one, punters. For some reason, we're going to have to go back to Xavier and myself now. But hey, Lizzie, thank you for doing this.
Say hi to Xavier for me.
Will do. Big thank you to Lizzie Jelfs for that. She did say good day to you, Pegs.
Oh, that's very kind of Lizzie. I hope she's going well.
Now, let's get to our tips for this weekend. Of course, we are taking a look at the Gold Coast meeting. And before we get to that, we've got to take a look at this weekend's Boom Odds special. So our friends at BoomBet are offering a Boom Odds special on Snitz and Over in race 8, which is a 3-year-old Guineas. That'll be up by the time you are watching or listening to this. Head over to BoomBet, of course, to check that out. Of course, terms and conditions apply for eligible customers. Now, in the 2-year-old Classic, early money for them has been for the Playwright. They are keen to lay Icarian Dream from the gate. They think there's going to be a drift. They're happy with Invincible Woman as the current favourite, and they think the current price is spot on. La Bella Boom is their best value for currently of those that are going to get a run, and they think it's going to get some attention. And they think Space Raider will be very heavily backed if he does get a run.
Playwright, I certainly like that horse. James Moss and the team at Tricolour Syndications. All the best of luck.
All right, let's get to the 2-year-old Classic, mate. Take us through it. What is your tip in the big race?
Oh, I've got Gallinero, lovely Wooden Basset colt. Comes off a beautiful win at Randwick and a decent trial at Rosehill prior to that. Just looks in such good order and great odds as well.
It was a good win last start. $6.20, been a bit of money for it. $2.25 available for the place. Now,
You'd be silly not to go each way.
well, as said in the interview with Lizzie, I'm on Invincible Woman at 200 to 1, so I need to keep going with that. Look, it's currently 5.60 and 2.30. I'm already on at the big odds, but I think she is a great chance. I think she's going to be extremely hard to beat. She was so good on debut. She jumped, she travelled, and then she raced away from them. Sectionally on the day, she was in the top 10 for the day, and that was with a listed race later in the day. So the 2-year-old filly on debut, I think that's a really good sign. So I'm really happy to go her way. And of course, just with my friendship with Lizzie, I would love to see her have some great success too.
And, you know, we've gone over it a couple of times with another will and stuff like that. These are just great stories, and wouldn't it be great for that female ownership group?
Well, exactly. And that's the thing you see. Like, it's a great job that Katie Page has done getting this women's only bonus involved as well. So I think it's 300 grand for the first ladies owned horse across the lines.
A couple of lemonades.
It's a fair payday. But anyway, let's get to your tips and your best bet for the day at the Gold Coast. But you're just sticking with Gallinero. You are chips in with Team Hawks.
Yeah, I really love this colt. Like I said before, I don't really need to go on too much. I just think fantastic draw. We've got Tyler Schiller on board. Beautiful form.
Yeah.
Last win at Randwick. I'm all chips in.
That form should play out all right too, given there was that horse of Friedman's that's been well backed for the Golden Slipper out of it too.
Tried up Storm, but just has lovely action. And is a horse that I'm really, really keen on in the 2-year-old Classic.
All right, and give us your next best.
Yeah, next best is going to be in a race 6, number 8, Hedge. Like I said before, with Gallinero, draws really nicely, but this time Hedge gets barrier 2 from the Mick Price and Michael Kent Jr. yard. Bit disappointing last start over in the listed race, in my opinion, at Randwick. However, the start before that at Kembla Grange was fantastic, came third in a nice Group 3, and I think that form will translate well over the 1200 on Saturday.
Look, I'm a fan of the horse, but he sort of promised the world and delivered an Atlas. I know he won Ipswich last year during the Queensland Winter Carnival, but you thought after his run at Randwick during the Autumn Carnival, he was just going to go on with it, and he seemingly hasn't.
Yeah, no, but in saying that, all the form hasn't been so terrible of recent times. Like
Look at his FP profile.
Yeah. I think he's definitely a fantastic chance, and I think he'll come a fresh horse coming to Queensland.
Yeah. And let's get to your best value. It comes up in the 5th, the fillies and mares.
Listen, I'll be honest with you, Alex. I struggled a little bit to find some decent value across this meeting. However, I went with a horse in race 5, number 11, Infatuation from the Bjorn Baker Yard and the Maya Race Horse Camp. I think has some decent form coming out of Caloundra, coming second in Caloundra in her last race. Hopefully that'll translate well.
Quick backup.
But I think she's in it.
Yeah.
And nice odds as well.
Yeah. All right, so we'll get to my tips for the day here. My best bet comes up in race 6. I'm going against you here. I'm with number 5, Samana, for Damien Lane and Kieran Marr.
Yeah.
She's got a great first up record. She's had a win and a placing in that.
She draws beautifully as well.
And you just look at the races that she's running. She ran in the Winx, the Golden Pendant, the Alan Brown. Form out of that's fantastic because, look, you've got Gringotts, Amelia's Jewel, Via Sistina, Zugotcha all around it. Then you go back to Winter. Second in the Tats Tiara. She didn't have much luck in a Stradbroke. But Kieran Marr was really keen on her from a wide gate. She looks brilliantly placed here from barrier 4. I'm really keen on her. I think she can get the punters off to a fly just a little bit later in the day.
And do we have even money for placing?
With our friends at BoomBet, we do.
How good's that?
Yeah. So make sure
it's cheaper not to have a tickle each way.
get across to our friends at BoomBet. And my next best comes up in a race 4. It is the Magic Millions Sub-Zero over 2,200 metres. I'm with Belvedere boys for Matthew Dunn and Blake Shin. Look, absolutely dominant win in a highway a couple of starts ago. It was a country classic, but it was basically a staying highway. And then he went up to Queensland at his last start, absolutely smashed them running away from them. I struggle to see how horses out of that can turn it around on him. He's that horse on the way up, but some of these, they've been running around against each other for a while, and he looks a horse with plenty of ability on the way up. Barrier 12 I'm not really concerned about, because from the start at the top of the straight, Shin can have him just in behind the speed, and I reckon as long as he can flow into the race across that damaged bit of turf and flow into it, I think he gets the job done.
2,200 metres, I don't think barrier should be something that punters should be too worried
No,
about.
And he's $3.85 at the moment. I reckon he'll firm up really heavily on race day, so I reckon get on him now, because I reckon that's a price that will disappear.
How good.
Best value comes up in the 3-year-old guineas. It is a race number 8, and thanks to Lizzie for just really giving it away that she thinks that this is a Group 1 filly for Tommy Berry and the Curtises. Balhina, currently $9 and $2.80, so I'm going to get a yellow card from Lamby. But in fairness, last night it was $10 when I sent my tips to producer Homie, and shout out to producer Homie. It's his last Hold tickets this week. He is leaving us.
We are going to miss the big moment.
We are just absolutely desolate. It's a sad time here at Punters. But anyway,
It's like the big fella gave me a lot of sleeping advice, and I've been sleeping better because of it.
hey, he gave me what did he give me? He gave me some shilijat. Yeah, it's like an Indian goo thing, and mate, I've slept never better in my life thanks to him. But anyway, let's get back to Balhina here for Tommy Berry and the Curtises.
Question mark though.
Yeah.
Why draw?
Barrier 20, Tommy's just going to roll forward.
Yeah.
I know there looks to be a lot of
no other option.
No other option, but Tommy is good when he has to roll forward, because he can get horses that flow and get into a really nice rhythm. He's also not a jockey that's afraid to sit wide if the horse is in their comfort zone. And in a race where there's a fair bit going on, Cosmic Fire looks to be a big danger. I like Tullery's, but she's drawn 23 and she's going to go back. I'm really happy to go with Balhina each way. Currently, I know it's a bit shorter than what we get, but we might get better on race day. So wait around there, punters, but $8.20 now. All right, unfortunately, we're going to have to get to Lamby. Well, it's not unfortunate. He's just stuck in the studio back in Melbourne. So we'll get to Lamby right now for his tips at Flemington. And of course, most importantly, the Self-Trumpeters from the last few weeks.
James Lamb here with the best bets for Flemington on Saturday. My best bet goes around in race 5, number 5, New York Luster. Resumed over this trip last start and absolutely romped home in good time. Enver has really taken his time with this galloper, hasn't rushed him along, so I'm not expecting any sort of aggression second up. I think there's further improvement to come. Seemingly drawn the right side of the track and gets the services of Jamie Carr. Next best at Flemington goes around in race 4. That is number 3, Samuel Langhorne. Bit of an each-way price for this galloper. Crawling out for further distance, which he gets here third up. He couldn't sprint with them when they quickened the pace over 2,000 last time, but was quite strong through the line, so I think he'll really appreciate the extra trip here. He won a benchmark 84 over this route 4 back, so he certainly looks well placed in a BM 78 from the favourable draw. My best value at Flemington on Saturday is race 7, number 11, My Brother's Keeper. Always like a stayer resuming over 1,400, and this guy certainly looks over the odds at around 40 to 1 as we record. His form last prep was pretty good, and his recent trial over 1,200 was fairly inconclusive. He basically had the handbrake on for the entire trip there before being let go over the last 100 metres. Liked his work through the line here. He has run some really nice races at Flemington in the past, so I think he's a roughie worth backing on Saturday. First Self-Trumpeters segment for the new year. Let's rip into the votes. We'll start with one for Clint Hutchison. A little bit of post-race expertise here from Clint after Wonderbar was unplaced as a $1.80 favourite at Sha Tin last week. Clint tweeted, "Wonder when the Wonderbar fans will have had enough of taking unders." Nothing pre-race on X, so have to give him one vote there. One vote also for my esteemed colleague Xavier Pegum, currently sashaying around the Gold Coast, presumably drinking the place dry. Bit of an Andrew Hawkins style trumpet here from Mr. Pegum. No standard rooms left have been given a complimentary upgrade. So complimentary upgrade and a complimentary vote for Pegum. 2 votes, Miles Fitzner. New year, same old Miles. Miles dug up one of his old tweets from November last year, which read, "A few overreactions on the Australian Test team. Australians hold just about all they can in world cricket, and after just 3 days, Australians jump off and call for huge changes, etc., etc." So when the Aussies secured the series, Miles, quote, tweeted himself with, "Might be a few people deleting some tweets after the mass and somewhat ludicrous overreaction to the first test. You know who you are." So in other words, look at how right I was and all of you idiots were wrong. So he gets 2 votes for that. 2 votes also for the Wayne the Wiz Ormond. He's back in the votes this year. Wayne is tied up with Punt Hub, and there is a very real chance that he's talking about himself in the following tweet. "Whoever at Punt Hub Australia has been doing the tips can't be human. Absolutely off the Richter scale and then some," with a little rocket emoji. So if he's talking about himself, it's probably more than 2 votes, but I'll give him 2 this week. And finally, 3 votes for Dirty Dean Yendall. Yendall back from a long injury layoff. Booted home a couple of winners at Hamilton the other day and really got around himself in the post-race interview, concluding the interview with "Somebody stop me." So Yendall gets the 3 votes this week.
Big thanks to Lamby for that. A good little set that Lambie's got, but Pegs, as you can see, it is starting to rain. If you can't hear it, it's coming through right now. So we're going to wrap this up. A big thank you to our sponsors at BoomBet. Great fixed odds and better value. Get in on the Boom today. Now make sure you get across to the social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and X, all of that good stuff. Punters, of course, YouTube, Spotify. Make sure you leave us a 5-star rating and a review. But we are done and dusted here on Hole of Tickets because it's raining and we need to get undercover. We'll see you next week back in the studio.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.